Good evening, good evening, good evening, and good evening once again. Good evening once again. I am going to just check to see, I want to check the audio and make sure the audio on this live stream is okay. So I want to check that right now to make sure, ensure that the audio is in sync tonight. Again, good evening once again. I am going to just check to see, I want to check the audio and make sure the audio on this live stream is okay. So I want to check that right now to make sure, ensure that the audio is in sync tonight. So, good evening once again. I am going to just check. So I just did a just try to see what's going on with the audio. I've gone into this live stream from another device. I'm always cautious about audio. I wouldn't want to be talking or have someone talking to me and there is interference. And so I wouldn't want that to happen at all. I'm going to add some individuals to this specific StreamYard right now. So just give me a moment to do that. I'm going to go in and add a few individuals in on this specific live stream. Okay. So I'm adding some individuals to this live stream on tonight. I am going to share this live stream if I'm permitted to do so. I'm sharing it, if permitted, to Missing Lost And Trafficked. I'm sharing this live stream to the Gary 219 scanner only. I'm sharing this live stream right now to Independent News, Lockhart Media. And I'm checking for other groups to share this live stream to on tonight. I am going to share this live stream, looking for another group to share this live stream right now to A Cry for the Missing. I'm sharing this live stream with A Cry for the Missing. And I want to share this live stream to a few fathers' rights groups. So I'm looking for, fathers' rights and custody, sharing this live stream with that group on today. I'm going to share this live stream with, all right, great. While I'm sharing, my guest has arrived, or he was there. All right, great. All right. Hello, how are you doing today?
As good as it can be expected.
All right. I see something covering up your face, so I got to make some adjustments here, so that's not happening. Okay. Give me just a moment because I saw it covering your face up. All right, so I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I think it's just on the part that we're viewing, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Let me. You know what? I got another phone, so I'm able to see what's going on. I see that's a bar where I have the live viewer comments. So I want to.
You disappeared. We lost you.
All right, I'm back. I've added myself into this stream tonight, and just give me a moment to get some things adjusted. I'm really trying to figure out. I don't want to mess up anything. I'm still new to navigating StreamYard. That's what I don't want to happen. Okay. Okay, great. So that was a lot.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Take your time.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I know you've had a long day. It's Sunday, and so it's just the day that everyone's trying to just figure out, map out what the next week is going to be like, tidy up on some things. I know that's what I've been trying to do, and just, I don't know, just kind of get things adjusted. So I can understand it's 8:29 p.m. Central Standard Time. Here, what time is it there? Are you going at a later time? I'm sorry?
6:29.
Oh, okay. So it's later for me, but earlier. So you still have a lot more time into for tonight in terms of preparing for your week, right?
Yeah, it's time to start cooking dinner, but
Okay. And I apologize if this conversation is interfering with your cooking dinner. And,
no worries. I took the time aside because I thought this was something that I needed to address. It's important.
Okay, I understand. So I'm taking some notes here, and we've spoken before, so I don't want to backtrack too much. I will definitely fill my followers and my viewers in on, I guess, the fine details in terms of what you've gone through, because it's a lot, and it may take 2 years for us to finish discussing it. So I don't want to talk for 2 years. We got to kind of recap. So I know in the last time you saw your daughter is Ava. Is that correct? Pronounced Ava.
Mm-hmm.
She was 10 years old. And you told me in a live stream on my other Facebook profile, hadn't physically been in the room with her since March of 2020. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I hadn't seen her physically in all of that time, over 16
Okay. And so recently, there was recent developments. I learned about the recent developments from just following you on Facebook. We're Facebook friends, and there's other people in your circle who friended me as well. And so I learned on October 7th, I saw you made a post, and you posted a photo on Facebook of yourself sitting next to your daughter. She appeared to be older than the photos you had previously posted, shortly after filing a missing persons report for her. So I know she's now 12, will be 13 soon.
Oh, she just turned 13.
She just turned 13. Oh, when is her birthday, if I may ask? I'm sorry.
It was the 8th, the day after I got to see her.
Wow. So, great. That is wonderful. So you were able to see her right before her birthday.
Yeah. I thought that was impeccable timing because, she told me at the school that was what she was wishing for, that she was asking for, is to see me for her birthday. And so she got her wish without even anybody else, any intention of it.
Okay. That is absolutely awesome. So you got a chance to see your daughter. You hadn't seen her, and it would have been a solid 2 years that you have not seen your daughter, and you're finally able to see her. And so if you would like to share, I'd like to, to know, where exactly was this photo taken?
The photo was taken there at her school.
At her school, okay.
Her school there in California.
Okay.
Attending. I was able to, so I think I've mentioned it before to you that Ava had made a call and spoke with me and her sister She snuck away her mom's phone to, to contact us, me. And it just happened to be that my oldest daughter was there with me when the call was made, and my daughter had told me, where she went to school previously. And with that information, that's what led to me finding, her records and where she was going. So the complicated part was that I didn't have an address, and I've been trying to get the other party served for some time, and it's been very complicated along the way, very difficult to try and find exactly what address that she's been at, so that I could have her served legally, and so that was a really big challenge. The reason all this came about was because my ex-wife decided she was going to try another avenue to try and further keep me away from my daughter by coming up with another BS restraining order. And that did not work out well for her, because not only was I able to go and defend myself, thanks to the support I have, my friends, my family, all helped me get to California to handle this. So I was able to get there and show up to court and prove that I'm not any danger to anybody. I am just looking to be there, to find my daughter, to get my daughter, and to have time with my kid. That's ultimately my goal, is to be a part of her life. And I shouldn't have to keep fighting in every possible way in every single county and every single state that her mom chooses to go to. I shouldn't have to keep fighting the same things over and over and over again for the same reasons. I'm not in her life. I'm, only trying to be involved with my child's life. And so, she's continuing to attack me and go after me, and, as if I'm doing something horrible. But I'm just trying to see my kid and be a part of my kid's life, and, hopefully have a good influence on my child. That's what I really want. And so because she sent me that restraining order, it then gave me her address. So now she's being served, or they're making attempts to serve her, one or the other, because all that's going through the sheriffs. So I don't have to, worry about the personal, anything personal. I see, in this situation that it's crazy that she's going through all of these different lengths, to try and keep me away from my kid.
Yeah, and so I want everyone to kind of understand. I know there's a lot of different struggles and battles that you had to fight to get to the point of just being able to see your daughter for a moment, and that's for a brief moment while she was in school in California. I just want people to really understand the streams that you've gone through to see your daughter, to just see her for a moment. And so I know posted this photo. The photo was posted at her school, which will not disclose the name of her school, but the school she's attending in the state of California. And the school is a bit of a distance. And I think that's important that everyone understands that from where you currently reside. She's in California, residing with her mother, attending school in California. If you wouldn't mind sharing, you can share the state you live in, and just kind of how many hours does it take to get to where your daughter is in California? How many hours?
Yeah, so I'm in Oregon, and ultimately, if you were to drive straight through, then you're talking like 16 hours. But when you stop, you have to go to the bathroom. You go and you buy stuff. Something to eat, this and that. It's going to take some extra time. So it took us on our drive to California, my oldest daughter and I. It took us about 20 hours to get there, and that was a failed attempt to get her served. And then this last time, it was cheaper to buy a ticket and to go down there, and then to use an Uber to get through 3 different cities to see my kid and to go to court, and to fly in, right? So I had to fly into Ontario, and then I had to take, I had to get a ride from there to a hotel in.
So you drove how many hours again?
So when we drove there, it took us 20 hours to drive there and about 20 hours.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know in terms of just the driving distance itself. I know that
the flight.
This would have been your second time going to California.
Flying over there, and then I had to take Ubers all over the place to get all over these places. So that took a lot of time too.
Okay, so it takes 20 hours just to get there.
To drive.
And from there, you ended up catching Ubers, like what, to the court? Or go ahead and explain. I'm sorry. So
there's 2 visits to California. When you're asking about how long it takes to get there, I'm assuming you're talking about the drive time.
That's all I wanted to know. Yeah, just the drive.
It was a 40-hour round trip one way or the other, guaranteed 40 hours that we spent on the road.
Just wanted the audience just to know. I know that it was really detailed in terms of like you've taken 2 trips there, but I just thought it was for the audience and everyone to know just how long it takes to drive there, so they get an idea of just how far.
Between 18 and 20 hours one way.
Is how, what do you say?
Between 18 and 20 hours one way, if you make sense to the bathroom and whatnot.
Okay, so between 18 and 20 hours it takes just to drive from where you are in Oregon to California. So that is a significant distance in terms of the distance that are, from your daughter. So you were able to see her at school, and that is awesome. I'd like to know, what emotions were you feeling? If you want to just think about that, when you finally was able to see her, what was happening?
It was an extremely intense and emotional period of time. So I'm actually sitting there in the school waiting because, they had to go through their process and make sure that everything was legit and legal and, all this other stuff. And so, I was patient and waited there in the office. I was on the phone with my oldest daughter, Angel. Then my daughter, Ava, comes in, and all I see is she looks right at me and she says, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy," and then just goes into this hysteria, crying and grabbing a hold of me and won't let go, and just, it was so intense. And I can't put it into words, how good it felt to see her. So then, I didn't want to use up my time, digging into anything or asking questions or, doing anything like that. I wanted to spend my time just letting her know that I'm here, and that I'm trying to be involved, and that, hopefully we'll get this resolved soon.
Right.
And that was really my main goal. So she knew that I'm here fighting, I'm here trying to be there for her. That was very important to me. And, it was crazy because, she's wailing, and I'm like, okay, well, I told my oldest daughter, I said, well, hold on here. Let me call you back or something. She said, no, I want to stay here. So, okay. So, we're Ava's just soaking me up, hard hug. And then I have to go and fill out some paperwork too, to get put on the emergency contact list and different things like that. So I had to, break away. And so I let her talk to her sister for a few minutes while I was, filling out paperwork and trying to get all that done. I didn't want to keep her from her classes, and I intentionally showed up there just before lunchtime so that I could actually just spend time with her while she's on lunch. But unfortunately, because of the time it took and to get everything else involved, we had to actually wait until after lunch to see her. So the wonderful thing is that I had this fantastic Uber driver who had been working with me throughout the day. And she was so kind that she waited. I thought I'd be there 25 minutes. She waited the entire hour and a half it took, and I got to spend about 25 minutes with Ava. And
that's wonderful. So the your Uber driver, the driver that drove you, to the school, instead of her just taking it off and saying, you know what, request a ride, like, you would typically have to do after you get dropped off to go wherever you need to go from there. I think that might even save you a few bucks or something. She decided
she saved me quite a bit of money. Yeah, she did. She was awesome.
To wait, to wait and just allow you to have that time. And she even potentially may have lost some money within that hour she could have made. And so that was just so selfless of her to do that. I think that's awesome while you were seeing your daughter at school. And so I know you saw her at school. It generally, when a father or mother is visiting, we're talking about parents visiting their children, they're visiting their children and, at their home or at either your home or the other parent's home, at a park, somewhere fun. And so I know there's a reason why, you didn't have, there were no other place you could see her other than being at school.
Not without having any kind of legal or personal confrontation, seemingly with her mom. And that's what I didn't want to happen. And so why I went, and saw her at the school, because that's someplace I knew that she would be. And I knew that, I have rights to visit her there, to see her health, to see her education, all those different things. And so that's, I'm there to find all that out. The sad part is that while I was there, I learned that her grades have suffered dramatically over the last 2 years. And so after this whole thing, I also posted my text message to my ex-wife, letting her know, let's try to work together so we can get her grades back up, and and try and do that. I'm not getting anything, as far as compromise or willing to work with, willing third party or anything. I'm not getting anything back at all. So again, I'm right back to where I was, except for I have seen my daughter now, and I'm very, very grateful and thankful for that. So, I mean, that's big, but she should still be able to talk to me. And so, the judge there made it clear, that if my ex-wife doesn't want, me posting things on Facebook and things about, about what's going on, then, maybe she should comply with the court's orders that are already in place, because she's not withholding my daughter for any legal reason. She doesn't have any legal right in any other way to do so. And with these restraining orders, she's just trying to use the same stuff from, old cases that she's already dragged my name through the mud through all these other places. It's like I've said before with these restraining orders too. They don't have to be true. Just one person has to decide, what's going on.
Okay. And so you were able to see your daughter at school, and we know that you were able to see her. That was really the only place you could see your daughter after having gone to, what was it, the police? Was it the police that you went to? Or what did you do? So I just want to know exactly what you did so that the school administration would permit you to come in the building and have any time. Like, what was approved to make that happen?
Well, like we've all known, there are current custody orders in place. I'm supposed to have all of my rights intact to my visitation. There shouldn't be any reason why any school doesn't allow me any of that information, because I have all of my rights intact. So what I had to do was I had to prove to the previous school that all of those rights were intact. I had to send my court orders and everything that was related and up to date to that school for them to process and go through everything and make sure that it's legal for me to go and see my kid, or for them to even send me records. So once established, that was established. They sent me records showing me and showing me the next school that my daughter was going to, where she transferred to. Okay. And so through that, then I went to that school to go and do the same thing, although they gave me more flack than the previous school, trying to get records and trying to get information. Shortly after my first few attempts, that's when I all of a sudden was served with a restraining order saying that I'm, trying to see my daughter at school, and that she thinks I'm going to try and take my daughter from school.
So, just so everyone understands, like, what happened, when it happened, you saw your daughter on October 7th. I just want to know, the restraining order your ex-wife filed against you, was it filed before that date or right after the date of October 7th? Of you actually seeing your daughter in person?
Well, I didn't go to California. I went to California to go fight the restraining order. So I had got the restraining order before I had an opportunity to see my daughter. I would not have probably had that same opportunity or the money had not happened. So she did me a favor by filing that false restraining order against me.
Okay. So she filed the false restraining order or a baseless restraining order, at least that's what you're alleging. It was filed prior to you going to see your daughter on October 7th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you had to, appeal, to the courts to argue against the legitimacy of that.
So the restraining order that she was, so automatically they'll grant a restraining order, right? Just in place. There's two parts of a restraining order. One is saying you need to show up to court to defend yourself and figure that out. The other part is an emergency protection part, where if there's any show of danger, violence, different things like that, then they would grant. Typically, they would grant that so that I would not beforehand have any ability to have contact or anything else. However, that was not granted. The emergency part, they did not see enough reason or anything showing that I'm doing anything that was up to par for them to grant an emergency restraining order against me. Okay. So before that, I had still had all my rights intact. When I went to court, I proved that, she's a litigious litigant and that what was happening here was she's just dragging the same old stuff through the mud, trying to, drag me more, keeping my kid away from me. The judge made it very clear to her that this isn't okay. And that this isn't, you can't keep bringing old case files that have already been dealt with, through and through and through to keep trying to keep my kid from me. So I told her, follow the court orders in place, stop evading being served by restraining orders, or I'm sorry, not restraining orders, being served, stop trying to hide and just deal with the situation, and there wouldn't be all these complications. And that's true. Because my goal is not to be with my ex-wife. My goal is not to be, her friend or anything like that. I mean, I'd like to be able to communicate with her for the best interest of my child. But other than that, I really don't care what she does with her life and want her to just stay that way. Mm-hmm. And I just want to be a part of my kid's life and to keep her from being alienated and isolated from all of her family. She's not just isolating her from me. Okay? She's isolating her from my mom, from my dad, from my step-parents, from my nephews, from my brothers, from my sisters, from my cousins, from everybody. Okay? So she's not just hurting me. She's hurting everybody, including my daughter. And that's what the problem is here. If she would just stop doing that and just go and do what the court orders are saying, we wouldn't be here on Facebook talking about all this fumble jumble stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these allegations, things that she's she's trying to say to people to gain support or to stop me from getting support. You know, I believe that she's going to try and say anything she can, that she'll try and do anything that she can to look like a victim scared off her wits. She's not, though. She has no reason to be. I don't want anything from her. I just want to be involved with my kid. I should have those rights. The court said I should have those rights. If she has something else that she was, you know, trying to say about me, then why hasn't she gone and done things legally? Why is she not responding to the court? You know?
So yeah, you've gone through quite an ordeal, and unfortunately, with all of the court sessions and paperwork filed after 2 years, it's been 2 years that you haven't, you know, been able to spend time with your daughter, and 2 years have passed, and then when you do see your daughter, you only see your daughter for 25 minutes, about 25 minutes at your daughter's school. So that wasn't something that, you know, was, I mean, that was great, but it's, you know, I find it disheartening. I'm just saying, I find it to be disheartening that you only saw your daughter for 25 minutes after having not been in the same room with her. I know there were times that she reached out to you, at times and spoke with you based upon what
the most painful part.
Yes.
Was leaving. The most painful part was walking away from my daughter, knowing that I might not see her again for I don't know how long till I can either go back and go visit the school again, or until, you know, we get this through in court. That's the most painful part of all this, you know, having to say goodbye again, not knowing, you know, when the next time I'll be able to see her or even talk to her is, you know. Seeing her was like, you've seen those videos, you know, where military people, you know, parents are coming back from Afghanistan and all that, and their kids, you know. That was how this was. Like, my daughter, the whole school probably heard her, you know. She misses me. She loves me. She respects me. She knows that I'm a good dad to her. She wants to be a part in my life. She wants to be involved with her family. She doesn't like this isolation. She's made that very clear. And I'm just praying that we can get through this soon and get over with it. So, you know, maybe we can get things in the right way so that, you know, she's able to get visitation with her mom, you know, and if we can, if she needs third party or something like that, please, I'm okay with that. You know, I just want to find a way where I'm involved with my child's life, and God knows, and I'm sure everybody that knows me and my daughter knows that there's nothing I would ever do, nothing I would ever do to try and harm my daughter. You know, I want to protect her. And part of this whole thing about, you know, going on Facebook and talking live and showing that she's a missing person and all those things that I was doing is because I want to be involved with my daughter's life and she wants to be in mine. You know, if this was, I just can't think of, you know, any other reason to go and put it all out there in the public eye, you know, if I had any other way to do it, you know. But I'm sitting there, I hadn't seen or talked to her since you know what, hadn't seen her since March of, you know, 2020. Hadn't been able to talk to her since the end of April, just before May. May was the last time that I spoke to her mom, and then, you know, all this junk. For what? And none of this time is anything legitimate. So I'm being kept from my daughter, even though my rights are all intact. My visitation rights, all of that are intact. I have not been told by a judge, court, cop, anything else that I don't have a way to talk to my daughter. So I'm doing my part legally.
Okay. I've seen the from posts that you posted, and even in conversations that we've had, and in paperwork, legal paperwork that filing paperwork that you sent me, that you have definitely, from what I have seen, you have definitely made an attempt to be a father, right? Be what you should be entitled to be, but to be able to play an active role in being a father in your daughter's life. And I know that you are continuing to fight. Now you're continuing to fight. I understand that there are some other things that you have into play. Of course, you don't have to. I would ask you to discuss, what those provisions are that you are making, but at this time. But I know that you're continuing to fight to see your daughter, and so I'd like to know, just from your perspective, not from anyone else's perspective, why is it in your mind, do you believe your ex-wife is being so evasive and giving you such a difficult time, I would say, in being in just playing a role in your daughter's life? Why has she blocked you from doing so? Why do you think she's blocked?
Well, I can only speculate because I'm not her, but I do have experience with her. I mean, 12 years of knowing her. She's really good at, getting people to believe that she's this sweet, innocent victim, and that why? Wait a minute. Let me come back to
why do you think?
Why I think she's doing this is because I believe that she wanted a child all for herself. My belief is that when we got together, she was with a woman for 5 years before me. It was her prime time. She's 32 years old. She wanted to get pregnant. We agreed to have a child. We agreed on what that would look like if we had a child. And we also agreed on what it would look like if we broke up and had a child, which she started right away. As soon as she got pregnant, first thing, started arguing with me, starting fights. Then, boom, a falsified restraining order, keeping me from my kid. Couldn't see my kid when she was born. Then, boom, next thing you know, she's alone. She has to deal with the kid on her own. Maybe she's scared, so she calls me, wants to get back together. We get back together, we get married, and then, then things get tight again. Then she doesn't know what she wants again, and then we go through the rest of all this time because she's scared to do it on her own. Maybe this is a speculation. This is the only thing I can come up with, to be honest with you, of why she's fighting so hard to keep our kid to herself. But that's what I believe.
Okay.
It might not be her reasoning. I don't know, but that's what I believe, is that she just wanted a child for herself and she doesn't want me involved. We didn't work out. At the end of our relationship, I tried for 8 months to talk with counselors, to talk with my parents, to talk with other people, to try and work out, hey, how can we split apart and do good for our kid and keep her in a stable situation? That's what I wanted at the end of our marriage. That's what I was looking for when she decided to up and bail out and go falsify another restraining order against me, and take my kid again for 7 more months. This is a pattern that she does. She's doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why they can call her a fictitious litigant,
So you just believe that your ex-wife, just speculating, not sure, but you believe that your ex-wife is blocking you from being a father to your daughter because she just didn't want a father figure in her daughter's life from the get-go. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. That's where it's headed. Yeah, is I feel that maybe, you know, she wanted a child to herself. She really wasn't prepared for a relationship with a man. And, you know, I mean, it's just the pattern, you know, the way that everything went. It just seemed like she was just out to just have a baby for herself. You know, she tried to keep me. She didn't even give my daughter my name when my daughter was born. I had to go and change all of that stuff, you know, after we got married.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so all of that kind of just shows that to me that that's what she wanted, but wasn't secure with herself or something. And I don't know. I really don't know. It felt like in parts of our relationship, like we were really, you know, there for each other, and other parts, it just felt like she was fake to all of my friends. She was fake to people all the time. You know, she'd talk behind people's backs, laugh about people and things like that. And it's who she really is. And it took me a long time to really realize. And where I'm at today, I really don't understand. I can only speculate. I know that she's willing to go as far as saying some pretty nasty things to try and get people.
I want to get into
my name through the mud.
And I want to actually address, at least on the surface of things. I don't want to go too in depth, only because you have a daughter who is a preteen now, who may be assessing the internet, of course, and our conversation and some things that I presented on my profile, she may certainly run across. And so I don't want to be too specific in the allegation, but I do want my viewers to know this is important. I want my viewers to know it's important that you know that I did reach out to Ava. I reached out to her mother and via Facebook, and I introduced myself and let her know that I'm a missing person, investigative journalist, and explained to Ava's mother that, you know, Dave, and you see him talking to me right now with the black cap on. Dave had been in an uphill battle with her, and just let her know what Dave was saying regarding not being able to see his daughter. And so when I spoke with your ex-wife and Ava's mother via Facebook Messenger, she responded back because essentially I asked her why she was blocking you from seeing your daughter. Why has she moved to another state and not just moved to another state, but, you know, not wanting to, you know, reveal her address and, you know, blocking calls, etc. You know, I had a way of, you know, saying it, but letting her know that I was aware that she had gone through great measures to ensure you don't see your daughter until your daughter is like, well, and until she's an adult, you know, and she's able to reach out to you on her own. And so she did respond to me. She said that she felt threatened in this response, and then she did make allegations of sexual abuse. And so I don't want to go too specific into that, but she said, you know, she was in fear for her safety. Just summarizing what she said, I actually posted part of what she said to me to Facebook earlier today, and I went ahead and retracted that post, and, you know, in the best interest of her daughter, just in case.
Appreciate that.
Anyway, you know, but I do feel it's important to address this because I asked her a question. I wanted to know why. If someone goes to that's the links that she's gone through. You know, I'm an outsider looking in. I'm trying to figure out, why is this woman running and hiding and all of that from you and keep you from your child? So that was alarming to me. So you can respond to that regarding whether what she's saying is true or not true. But this is what she's alleging, that there was past abuse or that you inflicted abuse upon her, and that's why.
Well, it's like I said, I'm not surprised by the lengths that she'll go to, although I don't think that she's actually gone through that much extreme to keep me away. It's actually been very easy for her because, you know, when a female goes and files a restraining order against a guy, you know, he doesn't have a jury. You know, it's just, damn, that's what it is. And you have to go and fight that and be able to fight that. And like the previous restraining order before this one, you know, the first judge turned that restraining order down too. But it wasn't until, you know, then the next judge was there in the same court where my ex-wife's mother worked. So I think that there was some kind of coercion there, that because I wasn't even allowed to respond. You're supposed to at least have 15 seconds to respond verbally of, you know, why you shouldn't have this restraining order against you. I didn't get that. I don't believe that I was treated fairly. And that was after an appeal. So she got it granted on that second one. And that's just over cut up close, you know. So, but I'm not surprised that she would go to any extreme to convince people to support her and not to support me. She would say anything. I believe that that's, you know, what she would do. I can say for myself that I haven't done anything violent, forceful, out of line, or wrong, you know, to her. If anything, I put myself through a lot of emotional and mental abuse through our relationship, you know, myself. In fact, you can look, and the only person that's ever had any charges brought against them in our entire relationship is her. Okay. But no. So I'll say, no, I did not do what she said that she's saying that I did.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel like I should have to keep continuing to defend myself in different ways along this whole stretch of just trying to be a father and be involved with my daughter's life. I think that it's wrong that she slanders me, runs my name through the mud, talks behind my back, all these things. She's probably saying some pretty nasty things to my daughter too, which I'm sure my daughter's not going to believe. You know, my daughter knows me very well. My friends know me. You know, I have a lot of support, and she's gonna, you know, try and fight every tooth and nail that she can, and maybe that's her end game. You know, I really don't know, but as to address it, no, I never did anything like that. Wouldn't. All the restraining orders that she's placed against me, the things that she said that I've done, I didn't do, which were all nothing sexual, by the way. They were all trying to say that I was holding her, keeping her in the house, or holding her down. Those are the types of things that have been displayed in these restraining orders. And then I think to myself, you know, she hasn't gone through any process, you know, trying to actually go and prove, you know, or try to actually accuse me of this. She's just going behind the scenes and talking to people who are either supporting me or the situation, right? That's who she's talking to. Maybe she's talking to the sheriffs when they show up there for, you know, for a child safety check, you know, and maybe that's why I had so much trouble trying to get them to give me a safety check on my daughter. Perhaps she's saying those things to them too. I really don't know. I don't know why she's so angry or why she is saying things like that, other than she's a very vindictive type of person. When she gets angry at somebody, if she wants to hurt somebody, she really goes for it. Just like her dad. My experience with him, I think they're very much alike now. that's, I don't want to like make accusations. I don't want to like say anything, about anybody. And I'm not really trying to put her even in a negative light here. I am just pointing out what's happening in my life with my daughter, trying to be a dad and trying to be involved with my kid's life. That's why I'm out here on Facebook. That's why I'm in all of these fathers' rights groups. I'm looking for those help and to support other people and to help people get through these same challenges that I'm going through. But how can us men fight, when we're innocent? How do we fight against these types of, accusations and statements to people? And especially if we don't know that they're saying these things, I don't know, but I want to, I just want to be a part of my kid's life. And I believe that my ex will go through any length, to keep me from that, because she knows how important it is to me. She's vindictive, she's hateful, spiteful, and when she doesn't get what she wants, she is very mean about it. And she's willing to lie to people. She's been caught in many lies. This is just another one. So I'm not really feeling too threatened by it, because I know, one, it's not true. Two, I know that, this is just another rock that she's trying to throw on this pile, of trying to make me look bad, run my name through the mud as much as she can. That's what I believe it is. And if she was serious and if anything had actually happened, I believe that she's the type of person, she would have gone and done something right away about it. She would have went right to the cops. She would have, I would have been locked up, right away if something like that had happened with this woman. Because that's the way she is.
Okay. And my next question is, just reflecting on your daughter and what is in the best interest or should be in the best interest of your daughter. And I know that every daughter, every son deserves to have a father. Every daughter and every son deserves to have a father and should have a father for good reasons, right? So I'm just wondering if you could articulate how this isolating or alienating you from your daughter is impacting your daughter. What is it that you're saying? I would say in terms
I believe from and I've done research and I'm looking and I've spoke with other experts and whatnot, and this is a form of mental, psychological abuse. Okay, and what's happening is isolating my daughter is causing insecurities. It's causing problems with her emotional state of mind. Obviously, it's affecting her education. Because if you had seen the grades, my daughter's a straight A student, and it's just the opposite right now. Literally. The full extent. And this is how this is affecting my daughter. The only 2 grades that she got 2 A+ last year in both science and math, which are the pillars of what my daughter and I work on all the time. The games that we play, and that I put on her phone for her to play, different things like that, all have to do with math, and she just loves, math. And I believe that that's from my influence. And so she's showing that she can still do her work, but she's not putting any effort in any other part of her education. And that's really concerning for me.
Yeah,
I think that's where you can see how she's being affected.
That's concerning for me as an educator, as an activist, as an individual. I'm always concerned about the progress of young people, anyone's child, and it's always concerning when grades are declining. And you don't have to give us letter grades, but obviously you notice some things when you reviewed her records that her current progress that has troubled you, and you believe from what you're saying it, just your being estranged from her has impacted her and impacted her academic progress. And so that is definitely alarming. And I certainly hope that there could be some sort of compromise in the future that you and your ex-wife could make that doesn't involve the courts, right? Enforcing it, enforcing this compromise, enforcing visitation, and first forcing terms, right? You know, who sees who and what time and how long, you know.
It shouldn't be like this at all, Latricia. You know, and the agreement that my ex-wife and I came up with about when we decided to have this child together, okay? We decided this full on coherently, talking, had multiple conversations about it. We discussed, you know, because I have that I have an older daughter and I had had some custody issues there before. And we went through a lot, and it was very impactful negatively, you know, on my daughter. And I didn't want to ever have to do this again. Okay. And so so I explained my situation, you know, to my ex-wife, and we talked and we agreed we would not rip each other through, you know, through this and tear a child through the court system again. And the first thing she did, the first time we had a problem, that's exactly what she did. Okay. So I don't know why, and I don't understand how a parent can completely go against their child's wishes, against, you know, everything that's emotional to them, you know, their connections with their family that they grew up with, you know, all that. How can any one parent rip you away from all of those people and point at one person? How does that make sense? So it's not just me. She's hurting everybody in this mix. She's hurting all of my family. She's hurting my daughter. And she's hurting me, last of all. But mostly the person that will deal with this for the rest of their lives is my daughter. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry we couldn't come to an agreement in the end that we agreed upon already in the beginning. Because now my child's been put through all of this and she didn't have to. And, you know, if my ex-wife would have just continued to comply. See, I don't know what happened in Washington, because before this May 7th thing, before, you know, her cutting off all communication, there was no fight. There was no, you know, we had no confrontations in you know, of any kind, other than, you know, a few words of exchange about what, you know, health options I should be talking to my daughter about, because she had came to me and told me that she had her knee was hurting, and I suggested that she get a doctor's appointment, and her mom said they're not taking doctor's appointments right now. And I replied and I said, yes, they are. They can do it by video. You can have, you know, first a video conference, and this was at the beginning of the pandemic, right? And so this was the argument that I guess may have, you know, triggered this whole thing, because that was the last, I guess, argument that we had, because I'm saying, look, I have rights, you know, here to, you know, to talk to my daughter and find out if she's got a hurt knee. She has the right to tell me about that. This isn't just something I have to talk with her, you know, her mom about. But that's what her mom was indicating is, and in these papers, in the restraining order that she recently did too, this is what she's saying, is that that she feels like I'm impeding on her ability to handle my daughter on her own, and that I'm interfering or talking with my daughter about it. I don't see where the problem is if my daughter is telling me that she has a hurt knee and I suggest a doctor's office. If you see a problem with that, please let me know. But I didn't see a problem with that. And that was the last like confrontation type conversation we had. So if there was all this other stuff, if it's about, you know, sexual abuse or any kind of abuse and all this other stuff, then why was she fine all the way up until that point? Why did she comply all the way up until that point where she was bouncing out into California?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question to ask. You know, why? What she alleged, which she did allege sexual abuse in her response to me, and that was part of her rationale she gave as to why she has been hiding from you and blocking you.
She's not hiding from me. She's hiding my daughter from me.
But I do want to say that she did send me documents. You know, she sent me documents, restraining orders filed, and other sorts of documents. And I won't go into the specifics of all those documents in terms of what the documents were. I can say that I reviewed the documents, and there was no allegations in the document she sent to me alleging that you sexually assaulted her, that you sexually assaulted your ex-wife specifically. I want everybody to know what I mean by her, your ex-wife. So she alleged this. She said this in her response to me, and I posted it. Like I said, I posted it earlier on Facebook, and then, you know, I decided, you know, to take it down, just you know, in the best interest of your daughter. I realize your daughter is a, you know, a preteen that may happen to run across that statement on Facebook, but she did allege this, and so I did find it odd. I just want to say I found it odd that with all of the documents your ex-wife sent me to support the, you know, the theory or the idea of you being an unfit parent, right? There's nothing in any of those documents alleging that you sexually, it's not even an allegation there that you sexually assaulted her or you physically, like, well, there, I don't see anything spelled out in terms of this person knocked me in the head, or this, it may have been a vague claim of domestic violence, but nothing specific that I saw sent. So I found that to be interesting and of somewhat of concern, because there was no specific details to support in the legal documentation she sent to me to try to, I guess, in attempts to back up her claims of you being some sort of threat to her. It just wasn't there on paper. I did read a comment, no, a letter actually, from your former pastor, a pastor of that you and your ex-wife were under the leadership of at one time. And I mean, he noted, it's posted to my Facebook profile. So all of my viewers that are tuning in right now, please look at my Facebook profile and you'll see the letter from Dave's former pastor. He stated that there were issues between you and her, and then he noticed that you wanted to work through the issues, but she was just not in a place of wanting to work through the issues. He also noted that you seem to be a very dedicated and supportive father, and in that paperwork, well, I don't want to say paperwork, but in the letter, it was also a statement stating, and I'm just summarizing, not reading the letter verbatim right now, that, you know, you were more of a stay-at-home dad, and in some statements that was made, the pastor just kind of inferred that she was more so just irritated with you and it seemed to be more of a financial situation, and she felt like she was pulling more weight, and that happens in relationships.
Well, it's because I went to him to ask for marriage counseling.
Yeah.
And I had, she had already been, where I had sat down with my father, sat down with him and tried to talk with her. I sat down with my mom and tried to talk with her, all leading up, trying to figure out what are we going to do with this relationship? Are we, is there a way that we can, break this relationship and do good for our kid? And so what I was trying to figure out was how do we do that, and split? Because I mean, I saw it was a dead end road. She saw it was a dead end road, and so you could tell she was frustrated by the time we got to my pastor, trying to work this out, because I had already talked with my mom, already talked with, and so it was an ongoing thing. It wasn't just something that happened once, or twice, or, whatever. We continued for about 8 months trying to figure this out. And the end result was her chomping up this next restraining order and snatching my daughter for the next 7 months. That's the result of that, of me trying to get counseling and to work this out as reasonable, mature adults, parents. That's what I wanted. And that's why I went to the pastor. That's why I went to my parents. That's why I went to my counselor. I tried all the avenues.
And I did see evidence, at least of the legal, the legal actions you've taken in attempt to, just father, I'll just say father your daughter, really, be a father to your daughter, be allowed to be an active father to your daughter. So I found that to be commendable. I did want to share with you, I thought it's important that you know, or did I disclose to you what your ex-wife said? Because I did reach out to her, and I reached out publicly because I posted my inquiry to her in the previous Facebook profile I had publicly for all to see that, hey, I didn't just take Jay's word for in terms of like, oh, you're saying all of this is happening and she's done all of this, and I just kind of take it as gold and run with it. I went out of my way to reach out to your ex-wife. I really did. And I'm happy she responded back. And I thought it was important that my audience knows as well what that response was. And it just kind of helps to put things more into context and then give you an opportunity to essentially speak to that, to speak to the response. And so I didn't mention this before. I know that in terms of the conversation we had, or giving specifics on the conversation, but I thought in light of the recent developments and you're fighting so long just to see your daughter for 25 minutes, I thought it was really important that the reasoning, or at least what was explained to me as the reason why your wife has been invasive.
Yeah, her excuse to you. Yeah. I get it. And I understand. And you're an investigative journalist, reporter, and you got to get both sides of the story. I respect that. And like I was telling you before, the only concern that I have is what my daughter may see.
Yes.
That's the biggest concern, really, ultimately, because she shouldn't be involved in any of that. She shouldn't be involved in this type of conversation, and that's my concern. Other than that, I don't have a problem addressing, whatever my ex-wife is going to try and trump up again. I mean, it's an ongoing thing, and it's going to escalate, because if one thing doesn't work, she's got to figure out the next thing. And for 12 years, I've been involved, for over 12 years, 20 years, pretty much, I've been involved with Father's Rights Group. And so my ex-wife was also involved with those, got to see what other fathers are dealing with, what other mothers were doing, and how things were turning out for men in these different types of situations. So she knows the ammo that she needs. She knows what she needs to do. and she's been pretty on par with most of that so far. Only doing things that can easily get by in restraining orders that don't need evidence, that don't need, all of those things. And she can go behind my back and she can talk to you, and she can talk to the sheriffs that show up at her place, and she can talk to all these other people and put the fear in them as if she's really afraid. She does this. She's good at this. She's a really good actor. She probably should have been in Hollywood, but it is what it is. I know that I'm going to face her coming at me with everything, especially the closer that we get, to the court saying, look, Mr. Brown, your daughter obviously wants to be here. This is where she needs to be. That's what I want to happen. And the closer I get to that, the more she's going to try and come up with, the more rotten the statements are going to be, the things that she says to people, the way that she tries to get support. That's what she's going to do. So I'm expecting that.
I'm not sure what you should expect next. But I do, or what may happen next in terms of, the efforts your ex-wife may be making to, continue to block your efforts to see your daughter. But I do certainly just hope that there is some sort of breakthrough where you two can have a conversation and come to terms on an agreement, at least that your role in Ava's life matters just as much as her role matters. And
if you look at every document that I filed, that's exactly what I'm aiming for.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you look at everything that I filed, if you see the papers that I filed, the court documents and stuff, you can see that's exactly what I've been trying to do, exactly what I've been trying to aim for. It would be nice, it would be great, and it would be most in my daughter's interest for us to be able to just, pass her along and message with each other or talk about health situation, education, things like that. I would very much like to be able to have that kind of communication with her. Sadly, it doesn't look like it's going to head in that direction, but it's not because I'm not willing. I'm more than willing, and if it takes a mediator, I'd be happy to involve a mediator or a third party, so that because I don't see it happening. I mean, she's obviously making some pretty nasty accusations, saying some pretty hurtful things, dragging my name through the mud. I'm a forgiving person, I really am. But there's only so much I'm willing to, make myself susceptible to, that kind of abuse from somebody, even if I have to, be cordial and deal with, the court situation. I can do that, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately. And there's nothing more that I would like than for my daughter to see that her mom and I can be cordial and mature. That would be really nice. I agree with that.
Yeah, that would be great. I know we've been talking for some time. It is, I guess, 7 or 8-ish or something like that where you are. It's 9:37 p.m. where I am Central Standard Time. I would like others to go and watch the replay of our conversation. I will be posting this conversation to my new YouTube channel. I have other platforms that I'm working on. And so this conversation that I've had with Dave, I would want all my viewers to know that I will have this conversation up on Missing Lost and Trafficked tonight before 12 midnight. You will see our conversation, or you would be able to go to my YouTube channel to view that conversation. You can certainly replay this conversation from Facebook, from wherever you are, confines of your own home or wherever you are. And so thank you so much. We've been talking for some time. So if I talk to you another hour, I know that
I'm ready for dinner. I might eat my computer by then.
Just likely people will want to go back and see a 2 hour. I'm stretching it right now, but so I would like to just thank you so much for taking the time out to discuss the journey. This has not been a great journey. It's been a frustrating journey, but your journey to see your daughter and the battle that you have waged against parental alienation. You have a great night.
All right, you too. Thank you for your time and respect.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.